and I are all about the description, not the prescription. What we're trying to explain to people is that as we go forward, there's a small group of men who have a ridiculous access to women because of social media, and a large group of men who have no access at all. And because those men don't have access, you see angrier and angrier groups of men. I had Richard Reeves. He's a PhD on my show. He was working for the Deputy Prime Minister in the UK, and he's a senior fellow at the Brookings Institute, a serious academician. And he was saying because academics did not want to have the conversation about men falling behind. That's why Andrew Tate had that conversation, and that's why he became so popular so fast, because academics didn't even want to acknowledge that there could possibly be a problem where men were falling behind as far as relationships that were concerned, as far as jobs were concerned, as far as education was concerned. 5% of psychologists under the age of 30 are men. 5%. Do you understand what's going to happen to the entire field of psychology?
Well, yeah, in 2050, women will essentially take over.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are more female military pilots than there are male kindergarten teachers. Like, we have gotten to the point where there are certain institutions where men have completely fallen behind. While women have gotten into accounting, becoming doctors, and some of them getting into engineering, men did not become nurses. Men did not become kindergarten teachers. And so we are having this large group of men that are unwanted and somewhat feel unnecessary, and 68% of college graduates are female, 60% of people in college are female, and so because of that, you have a bunch of women who are trying to become the men that they wanted to marry, and they look at the men that they left behind, and there's nothing there for them. On Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge, 83% of right swipes go to 20% of men. 20% of men are getting 83% of the right swipes. That is incredibly imbalanced. That means 80% of men are competing for 17% of women. And then you wonder where all this anger and angst comes from. So if feminists can get out there, the new Barbie movie can come out, all this type of shit can happen. But you have to remember these men exist, and if you don't, that's when these massive problems happen. I'm not trying to criticize any of you. I'm just saying, in general, in society, we try to sweep these men under the rug and act like they don't exist because they don't have luck with women, and that's the reason why. That's the problem. Is because, and then when women complain about men, they're complaining about men who cheat, and to a bunch of men who are like, cheat? I've never had a girlfriend. How the am I going to cheat?
I think that there's a fundamental misunderstanding and chasm between men and women. I think that essentially the red pill movement was a response to postmodern feminism,
Sure.
The fourth wave of feminism, in the same way that postmodern feminism was a response to how women felt towards men, and
Sure.
I think men weren't expecting it. I think they were shocked. I think they were uncomfortable. I think that they couldn't really understand the level of vitriol that women really have for men. But I think right now, the pendulum is swinging to now we're talking about men. We're focusing on them. But I also see that there's seeds of disdain and hatred. Like you say, women, they you're focusing on this point that women cheat, right? And that's their main thing. But
wait, women cheat or men cheat? What are you talking about? I'm confused.
Well, you were saying earlier that what did you say about cheating just a few minutes ago? You're talking about how
why men cheat.
Oh, was it?
He was
Yeah, it was about why men.
It's
from a socioeconomic standpoint, a man. Because I have some friends of mine. Even before I was, financially successful, I'd go hang out with them in their nice apartment in Miami.
Right.
And the number of women that were just hitting them up, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! How is this possible? They had infinite options, and then my buddy who worked at CVS had no options, and there was no middle ground.
What is he doing?
Huh?
The man at CVS, is he going out? Is he making himself available? It's not all about online. It's kind of ridiculous to think that people only date by going online.
Well,
I don't even have online dating apps. I meet people outside in real life. You know
a lot of
the
time nowadays, a lot of women would just be completely turned off by a man that says that he works at CVS. So
that's not true though, bro. I see people that are mentally challenged, not to go on a loop with anything. I see people that have serious things going on, and they find happiness and they find someone else. You know what I mean?
Exceptions not the rule, though.
I was about to say, let her talk. Let her talk.
Wait, did you date someone who was?
You know what I'm saying?
Special
No, but I've seen it. I physically, we've all been in school. We've all went to public school, private school, high school, whatever. You see a bunch of things. You see people make it. They make movies about certain people. Anybody, there's 8 billion people. There's there's someone out there for everybody. Like that's just point blank period.
It's harder to find someone equal.
It's hard to find someone equal if you're just doing the same thing every day and you live the same repetitive life cycle and you're not doing anything different.
But why,
Yeah,
why we have to be equal? If men and women is different.
Yeah,
Yin and yang.
It's So the thing is, because there are so many ways to sedate men, and remember, if you're an attractive woman, the thing, you don't have to accomplish as much in order to be attractive to the opposite sex. Whereas a man, you do. And if we live in a society now through things online, pornography, etc., those things will sedate men. And so that group of men that you said, what is he doing the same thing every day? Yes, he's doing the same everything every day because that's easier for him to do. Let me tell you something. Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out next year.
Yes.
That motherfucker is a $2 billion with a B, $2 billion budget for that video game. That thing is going to ruin my business and ruin my relationship. Okay, like there's so many ways as a man to sedate yourself, but we as men have this burden of achievement, that we have to achieve certain things in order to be attractive to the opposite sex. And women, I'm not saying women don't achieve things, it's just that your ability to achieve things is not directly correlated to how attractive you are. Does it make sense?
I get what you're saying, for sure.
Like we're saying, you can lay around.
Wait, you don't think women's attractiveness matters when it comes to men selecting?
No, he's saying that in terms of her like net worth value or income, it doesn't matter nearly as much as it does to men.
But there are other factors that men prioritize in women, because I mean, like the outputs of like between men and women are not going to be the same, so we're going to value different things in each other, right? So like a woman would be attracted to success, whereas a man would be attracted to, let's say, beauty. Whatever, like right.
Yeah,
right.
But most people, to be youthful and beautiful, you don't have to actually achieve anything. You,
I understand.
A lot of the times are born with that desirable
So just
trait.
Consider a situation where you have a male and female and they're twins, and one of them is the male and he just sits there and smokes marijuana, sits on a hacky sack and plays video games all day and becomes like, he doesn't accomplish anything. And then you have his twin sister who's stunningly beautiful, also smokes marijuana, plays video games. She has a dating advantage over him. He has the burden of achievement. He must achieve, he must accomplish he must become something in order for him to win. And the problem is, this is something Rollo and I talk about all the time, is that the world is so filled with sedation. I find myself going down these YouTube holes and I have to like stop myself. Like you could sit there and watch endless hours of footage. You can watch anything. It's not even brainwash. It's just, there's things that when I have to tell my girlfriend all the time, it's like, it's work time now. When I'm working, I just think about how hard I have to work to accomplish what I did. We're gonna have our first $600,000 month this month, okay? When I think about all the work I had to do that, and when I think about how hard it must be, like, well, other guys are not doing this, how the fuck are they going to be able to accomplish things when there's so many distractions? I come from a time where if I was distracted, my dad would go get a paddle and make me undistracted very quickly. It was a very different time, but it's the 1970s, 1980s, right? And so because of the way things are now, you have these men who are very easily distracted. They're being told that they don't need to be masculine. They're being told that they don't need to have the ability to focus. And they're also being told that their ability to accomplish things is not that important. And that's just not true. If you're a man, you are not a special snowflake. If you're a man and you want to go the rest of your life and never get laid, it's very easy to do. You can just sit around. You will never get laid. It's not very difficult at all. If you're a man and you don't ever want to run a 7-figure business, it's very easy to do that. You can just sit around. It'll never happen for you. But that's the difference, right? So what you're saying before, as men, because they have the burden of performance, they're always going to be behind the 8 ball, and things get more and more distracting as new video games and new movies and new augmented reality and new pornography comes out. It becomes more and more difficult, or rather a larger and larger cohort of men get left behind.
Can I ask how you would say to fix that issue? So lazy people are going to be lazy. I'm a firm believer that a man can have all like the paddle and stuff and still be lazy. Do you think it's more so that men should just hold their expectations to, and this would play into the women as well, is they are to date equal? So the twins,
men date equal. Men don't get to date equal most of the time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that fix that?
And women
though?
don't. Women generally will date up.
If women started dating more equally, wouldn't that fix the issue?
Yeah, but you can't tell, like, it's evolutionary psychology. You
but I'm
can't
just
make
saying
you
that
can't
would-
make women date equally. Women are going to, like, attraction's not a choice. Women are going to
I mean,
choose.
in some countries, attraction is a choice.
Well, yes. Well, some countries, marriage isn't a choice, but yeah, attraction generally not a choice. But I'm very much like with Richard Cooper on this. I'm just going to enjoy the decline. I do think men in 50 years will be fucking robots, and there'll be a small group of us who are still fucking cowboys out there, going out there, knowing how to speak to women, knowing how to, like, when there's a fire, we're the ones still pulling people out of the burning house. We're still the ones who are willing to pull you out of the car after a car wreck. We're still those guys who are willing to do that. But I think we're going to see fewer and fewer of those men in the future.
Instead of like using the word lazy to describe these like group of men that like, you know,
are
distracted or like not getting laid or like can't really find like their woman, like wouldn't you have more compassion for them? And
There's
not
a huge lack of
that is
self-accountability.
that is my compassion. I'm telling you like why they exist, right? They exist.
Hold on, just